I want to talk to the woman, the girl, the person that struggles with speaking to themselves or about themselves in a kind, compassionate and respectful way. Now, I know firsthand how I used to feel about myself, and if you've watched any of my other videos, I talk about it quite frequently. Quick backstory for those of you that are new. Hi, welcome by the way if you are. I used to hate the colour of my skin. I used to dislike being a brown girl, and maybe that's because where I was born and raised, quite a predominantly white area, even though the people on my estate are all, not all, but when I was growing up I saw a lot of black people in my close-knit circle. Outside of that, when I would go to school, there was like 5 of us, 2 in my class, and I was one of them. So you can imagine growing up, a lot of the TV that I would watch would be predominantly white, and then when I did see black people, they were loud, they were aggressive, they were argumentative, especially the women, and it painted us in a very negative light. So in my head, you know, the image that was perfect, pretty amazing, you look at Victoria's Secret and all that kind of stuff. I love Victoria's Secret, so please don't come for me. You know, you'd look at all of these things and then they'd be like white and blonde or white and brunettes and stuff like that. And it's almost like I looked at it as if being a black or brown girl was a bad thing. That's what my 6-7-year-old brain took from it anyway. Now obviously I know differently, but at the time that's what I took from it, and I ran with that for a very long time. So obviously your current reality is shaped by the narrative that you have. The narrative that I had was that I was ugly, that I was undeserving of love, that I wasn't worthy of respect, of kindness, of compassion, that people would always pick me last, men would pick me last. Even in sports I'd be picked first because I'm black for like certain sports, but other ones just because, you know, they didn't want to have me on their team. And that wasn't the case, by the way, but that is again part of the narrative. You start to dissect things that don't exist and create an entire story, and then you run with it, especially at that age. So I did that. That is exactly what I did at that age, and I ended up completely falling out of love with myself. I don't actually ever remember a time when I did love myself besides when I became an adult. But as a child, I couldn't tell you a time. If I think about it, I couldn't tell you a time when I was like, I love myself. So anyway, I just remember the way that I felt about myself then transpired to me having a very negative way of dealing with things or with myself, and I would be so horrible to myself. The way that I would speak to myself was, oh, you guys, if I could hug my younger self and just tell her that I love her and that she's beautiful and that she's amazing, I would. I really, really would. I actually remember maybe like 10 years ago, no, way before then, I think I was about 17, 18 at the time. Telling me my age, I'm showing my age, guys. So I remember when I was I can't remember where I was, but I was looking on Facebook. I was on Facebook, and one of the boys from my primary school had a picture of me and another girl. She was white and she was blonde, and he tagged the pictures, like, because you know on Facebook you used to be able to write your tags out. Now it was like you have to put the person's name and then it auto selects that person from a list and that's it. Before you could edit the actual, I'm really showing my age, before you could edit the actual text itself. So what he wrote on her face was, still gets a boner, so and so her name, still gives me a boner. And then on my face he wrote, Nilita, ouch. Now I'm like, sharp. At the time when I read this 10-12 years ago, I felt like my world was falling apart, because it was again someone outright confirming this narrative that I have in my head, that I'm unattractive, that I'm not beautiful, that I'm not worthy of good things in my life, right? Because you know, when you spiral, when you start crying about one thing, it turns into everything as being wrong. So it went from, you know, I'm unattractive to no one's ever going to love me to I'm going to be poor for the rest of my life to like it just spiraled, completely spiraled. And I just remember feeling so horrible, so disgusting and dirty. And the conversation that should have taken place at that time should have been more loving, more compassionate, more reassuring. I should have reassured myself that that isn't the truth. But because I believed it to be so, of course, I'm going to go in the opposite direction, and I'm going to turn around and say he's absolutely correct. He's absolutely right. Ouch, look at my face. I'm ugly. I'm horrible. I'm so unattractive. And I ran with that, you guys. Like, when I'm like looking back on it now, and I'm still, by the way, undoing a load of the damage that was done when I was growing up, that I did to myself, and that I feel like others did to me as well, but more I did to myself. Because I had people telling me, you're beautiful. And I was like, you're lying. You're lying. But I just, you guys, the conversations that I was having with myself was so mean. But anyway, the purpose of this video today is that I want you to understand that people are going to have their opinions. People are going to have their view of beauty and of you and what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. I think the one thing that you should be doing is honoring yourself, speaking to yourself with love, with kindness, with respect, standing up for yourself, just having so much kindness and compassion and understanding towards yourself. But also, one thing that's really, really helped me is have compassion and understanding towards the person as well that's saying negative things towards you. Looking back at that now, at that time it was like, he's an arsehole, F him, how dare he, he's also right, I'm horrible, I'm ugly, I'm disgusting, ew, no one's gonna want to marry me. Like, it spiraled. And then fast forward to today, I just feel sorry for him. Like, I feel sorry that he was in a space, raised in an environment that made him feel like speaking about a young girl was appropriate, like that was appropriate and okay. I feel sorry that he believed that to be true. And then when I look at myself, I kind of wish I had just given myself a hug and shown myself some compassion, but also accepted the love that was being given to me. Because obviously I'm bawling my eyes out, running around my home like, no one's gonna ever love me. So my mum is like, what is wrong? Like, what's going on? Talk to me. And obviously me being me, I'm like, don't look at me. Musical theatre never goes too far away. So I'm obviously telling her, don't look at me, I'm ugly, I'm horrible. And she's like, that's not true. Where is this coming from? And I explained it to her, and she was like, that is a lie. And I didn't believe her. And again, I've spoken about this in another video. Sometimes leaning on other people's, not just validation, but their opinion can be a good thing. I'm never one to encourage external validation. With that being said, there are always moments where trusting your own judgment can be dangerous. And I think for young girls, if you're watching this, little girl, or young woman or older woman, I don't know, whoever you are, if you're watching this and you're saying to yourself, I'm so ugly, I'm so unattractive, I'm so this, I'm so that, ask the people around you to just uplift you for a moment in time, but also allow yourself to trust their opinion, to trust what they're telling you. And that allowed me to, almost like deconstruct, like break down this negative conversation that was happening in my head. And then I started going to therapy, and then journaling and using affirmations, and consumption is so important. Like, what are you taking in? What are you listening to? It's like listening to podcasts, reading the right kind of books, self-help books, and just also reading fictional books where the character kind of reflects me a little bit was also very helpful. And she's a strong main leading character, and it gave me some sort of like energy. All of those things combined shaped the way that I communicate with myself and the conversations that I'm having with myself, even when I want to be absolutely horrible to myself. If something goes wrong, or if I do something that I didn't really appreciate me doing, or whatever else, I'm like, give yourself a minute and just breathe. So if you're watching this and you're like, I just feel lost and confused and upset and angry, and you want to take it out on yourself, because it's very normal to, right, to want to take it out on yourself, because you're always with you. You know, you can't cuss yourself out and then leave the room and never come back. So it is easy to lash out at yourself and those closest to you in those times where things just feel like they're fucking falling apart. I encourage you to turn to God, talk to him. I encourage you to journal if you don't believe in God. I encourage you to speak to a family member, speak to a friend, speak to a therapist, speak to a counsellor, speak to someone who is trained to deal with your situation. Don't be embarrassed to ask for help, and catch yourself when you say something that's a little bit out of line towards yourself or towards others, and apologize. One of the things that I started doing was saying sorry to myself. And it sounds really weird, and it feels weird as well while you're doing it, by the way, so don't feel like you're alone in this one. But I definitely had to say sorry a lot to myself. It helped because you start saying sorry out loud, by the way. You start saying sorry, and then you realize how frequently you have to apologize to yourself, like in a day. And then you're like, damn, have I really been talking to myself in a way that I have to apologize so frequently? But like, it's bad. It was bad. It was really, really bad. I hope and pray that this video allows you to see that you're not alone. Life is a work in progress all day, every day. And you don't have to struggle alone. You don't have to try and figure things out by yourself, because 1, it's boring, 2, it's lonely, and 3, that's not how God intended it to be. He wanted us to come together and uplift each other, support each other, and love each other. So if no one's told you today, I love you. And I'll see you in the next video. Besitos.